A map of Viking Age politics should include kitchens, byres, storehouses, and roads leading toward crowded halls. Power traveled along those routes as grain, livestock, preserved food, drink, fuel, and human labor. When supplies converged at an elite residence, eating became more than household necessity. A feast could recruit support, display hierarchy, settle tension, and burden rivals with obligation. Its political edge came from controlled abundance in societies exposed to seasonal scarcity. Yet no menu alone proves that a political bargain occurred. The story begins with production, because celebration depended upon months of uncelebrated work. Fields yielded grain only after plowing, sowing, weeding, harvesting, drying, and storage. Livestock required grazing, winter fodder, shelter, breeding knowledge, and decisions about slaughter. Fishing and preserved foods diversified supplies where local conditions allowed. Brewing demanded grain, containers, water, fuel, time, and practical skill. Every crowded bench therefore represented resources withheld from other possible uses. Elite households converted that accumulated surplus into a carefully timed public event. Timing mattered because travel and farm work followed seasonal constraints. Guests arriving by ship or road needed safe passage and continued provisioning. Invitations selected who entered the political conversation and who remained outside. Attendance itself could acknowledge a host's importance without guaranteeing agreement. The feast became a weapon before anyone ate through its power to assemble. Excavated post holes and floor deposits reveal buildings capable of holding substantial gatherings. Sites such as Lejre and Tissø preserve exceptional elite complexes rather than typical farms. Their repeated investment demonstrates concentrated resources, although specific feasts rarely receive exact dates. Entrances, benches, hearths, and internal divisions shaped visibility and movement. Architecture placed the host's household at the center of controlled hospitality. Imported glassware and ornate vessels added distant connections to the display. Such objects often passed through several hands before reaching Scandinavian tables. Their political force came from scarcity, recognition, and the manner of use. A vessel displayed access to networks that a rival might lack. Once filled and passed, it transformed commercial value into social distinction. Food remains make the political performance less abstract. Animal bones can identify species, butchery, and consumption patterns within particular contexts. Plant remains may reveal cereals and other foods processed at a site. Together, they measure the material capacity required for repeated large gatherings. Capacity mattered because generosity carried expectations across early medieval northern societies. Followers judged whether a leader could sustain them during travel, conflict, and unproductive seasons. Guests evaluated protection and opportunity alongside immediate abundance. A lavish gathering advertised that tomorrow's support might be reliable. Poor provision risked public embarrassment because failure unfolded before politically significant witnesses. Feasting, therefore, tested reputation instead of merely decorating it. Placement near a high seat could communicate favor, while exclusion declared distance. Later sagas emphasize seating disputes because medieval authors understood their dramatic political potential. Those episodes cannot be treated as transcripts from earlier Viking Age halls. They do preserve a credible principle that public rank required careful management. Service also carried meaning, especially when elite household members presented drink or welcomed guests. Literary sources often assign ceremonial roles to high-status women. Historical practice likely varied, and the motif should not confine women's authority to serving vessels. Women participated in property management, kinship strategy, production, and commemoration according to circumstance. Their work and status helped determine what hospitality a household could offer. Behind them stood cooks, brewers, herders, farmers, craftspeople, messengers, and cleaners. Enslaved labor may have supported elite consumption without receiving reciprocal political standing. This inequality formed part of the weapon because one group's abundance rested upon another's obligation. Political memory usually preserved the host more readily than the workforce. Court poetry extended a successful feast beyond its final embers. Poets praised generous rulers and circulated reputations among audiences who had not attended. Verse could connect victory, treasure, drink, and proper lordship within a memorable public image. Its praise was interested speech, created within patronage rather than detached observation. Manuscript transmission also separates much surviving poetry from its alleged original performance. Even with those cautions, praise reveals the standards leaders hoped to embody. The ideal ruler did not merely possess wealth, he made supporters experience its distribution. Feasting also offered diplomacy a language broader than spoken negotiation. Sharing a host's food could create temporary trust among people carrying competing interests. Marriage discussions, compensation, fosterage, and military cooperation all benefited from witnessed gatherings. No universal ritual governed every agreement across Scandinavia. Hospitality worked precisely because flexible customs could absorb different local relationships. Gifts given during or around a feast intensified the host's leverage. Food satisfied immediate needs, while portable valuables prolonged the recipient's memory of favor. The combination linked present enjoyment with future obligation. Witnesses could compare rewards and infer the ranking of competing followers. Generosity created solidarity, but unequal portions also created jealousy. Political weapon could wound its owner when distribution appeared unfair. Alcohol added another risk without allowing invented scenes of drunken decision. Communal drinking structured participation, yet intoxication could weaken careful restraint. Later literature exploits that danger for plot and moral judgment. Archaeology establishes vessels and consumption, not the private condition of individual guests. Responsible reconstruction stops before assigning unrecorded words or motives. A hall filled with retainers showed how many people answered a host's summons. Visitors encountered stored supplies, valuable objects, armed protection, and ranked supporters together. The gathering implied mobilization without requiring immediate violence. For a rival, refusing attendance might preserve independence while sacrificing access and information. Accepting could open negotiation while placing that rival inside the host's designed space. This was political pressure exercised through hospitality rather than a formal state institution. Its effectiveness depended upon repetition because one impressive night could not sustain long allegiance. Bad harvests, livestock disease, warfare, or disrupted trade could shrink future gatherings. Seasonal reality constantly tested the image of inexhaustible elite wealth. When a household failed to provide, followers could reconsider other patrons. Feasting, consequently, joined political ambition to ecological and economic limits. Kingdom formation changed the scale of this practice without immediately ending it. Rulers drew resources from wider territories and linked hospitality with tribute and administration. Christian conversion introduced churches, clerical households, and new ceremonial calendars into political gathering. Royal feasts and ecclesiastical observances could coexist, compete, or merge in changing forms. Written administration eventually carried some obligations beyond face-to-face hospitality. Later sagas turned famous feasts into stages for insult, prophecy, revenge, and royal character. Their memorable scenes helped define the modern image of Viking politics around a table. Removing literary choreography leaves a more grounded but still forceful mechanism. surplus was gathered, guests were selected, ranks became visible, and reputation faced public judgment. Archaeological halls confirm settings. Food remains demonstrate consumption. Praise poetry preserves elite ideals. None of these sources alone proves every alliance or betrayal described later. Together, they explain why feasting could perform political work without becoming a government. The route from field to hall ends with authority temporarily made edible. Its established power lay in assembly and redistribution. Its remembered violence belongs largely to story. Feasting became a weapon because control over nourishment let leaders rehearse the order they wanted others to accept.